Greetings, my name is Brooke. I am a fourth year psychology honours student. I'm currently completing my degree online and part-time. I thought I would just talk about the first 6 weeks of the honours program from the perspective of someone who is completing it both online and part-time. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so for context, so technically I'm currently in week 6, so I haven't completed week 6 just yet, but I've actually completed the lectures and readings, so I feel confident to at least speak to sort of where everything is up to. So I thought I might start off by just sort of looking back at my calendar, because I use my calendar to sort of plan out my time, but also see, even if I plan sort of what ends up happening. I find that that's really important to create general structure, but to be flexible with that structure. So if I go back to just a quick side note, so this week is currently week 6. 2 weeks ago, was it? Let me just see, because we did week 4, and then I think it was the mid-semester break. We had the mid-semester break really early this semester, so that threw me off. And I tried to record this same video back then, but it just didn't happen. I was super exhausted, so if you'd asked me back then, I'd be like, this is full on, even at part-time level, but now things have chilled back up. So yeah, interesting to see perspective as sort of wherever you're at the time. Anyhow, let's go all the way back to O week. So that's orientation week. It looks like so I made sure I did my lecture write-ups, and I started the lectures early because they made them available early. It looks like I was working, but I've got 2 different jobs. One is in psychology admin, and the other is learning support at university. So I was doing that. Everything looks very chill that week. Week 1, it seems to ramp up. Yeah, so I'm working both jobs. I am doing the readings and I'm starting on assessments. Cool. And it looks like that first week, I will spread all the work I have across 7 days. So people probably think that's insane. Why are you working 7 days? For me, with my circumstances, it's easier and less pressure for me to spread things across 7 days. It's just, yeah, that's what works for me. So in saying that, I normally, I'm doing something at least every single day. And the time varies depending on what it is and why. But the first week, it looks like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I took off. I have a feeling I was probably unwell. I do have a chronic condition that flares up, and I am at the mercy of it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened there. I didn't specifically note that, but anyway. Let's see. Oh, in the second week, it looks like I also started crisis support training. So I'm working on volunteering as well. So even though this is technically volunteering when I'm doing the training, it's not the same as, actually starting to provide people with crisis support. So I've incorporated this by the time it was week 2. And during week 2, I also graduated from my Bachelor of Psychological Science. So I had graduation and people visiting. So it looks like this is a pretty busy time for me. I can see like pretty much my days are completely like booked out. Whether if I'm not working, I'm either watching lectures or doing readings, or another thing that I try to do from the get-go is revision, so weekly revision, because my units tend to typically have quizzes, usually either weeks 1 to 6, weeks 7 to 12, or weeks 1 through 12. So I try to make sure I'm regularly keeping up revision, because I always am happy having done it. I've never regretted keeping up to date with revision, if that makes sense. So it looks like week 2 was pretty hectic for me, and it looks like it put my whole calendar off because I took some more time off for my graduation, which is fine. We all need time off. Week 3 is the week before everything starts to be due. So at my university, there's a policy that no matter how many units you're doing, there has to be an assessment by week 4. So most of the time with a lot of the units I've done previously, it's usually been like a quiz. But I think with the structure of this semester thus far, it didn't quite work out the way. So we had 2 actual different assessments. So I can see that it looks like I went from sort of like chill to full on very quickly. At least it felt that way. I remember it feeling a bit full on. I'm still working both jobs. I can see, yeah, pretty much booked out every single day. If I'm, not doing lectures, I'm doing readings again. If I'm not doing readings, I'm working on assessments. Yeah. And on the weekends, I'll try to sort of not fill out a weekend just with university work because I have life stuff to do as well, and I try to make it a priority to actually take some time for me as well. But it looks like that weekend none of that happened, but it was okay because I knew like this is not a long-term thing. This is gonna just be one of those weeks we have to grind a little bit. Week 4, it's a bit full on. So this week was when both of the initial assessments were due. It also in Australia was Good Friday, which is an Easter long weekend type thing. And I was working the day that one was due, then I worked the next day, and then I had a full day before my next assessment. So like I've just been busy. If I'm not working, I'll dive straight into an assessment. And I even worked the day that the second assessment was due. Which resulted in me being up until nearly midnight to finish it off and submit it. So, and I'm not someone who stays up super late, so I can see that obviously took its toll on me. So the public holiday, which was at the end of that week, it looks like I clearly took the entire day off, obviously exhausted. I used part of Saturday to catch up on everything that I was put to the back of my mind, because I was like, assessments took priority, so that meant like either revision or lectures or readings, whatever it was, it would have taken a backseat. So I would have used part of Saturday to catch up on whatever it is, and then I can see, yeah, I've just taken the Sunday off because that was an actual event. I think, yeah, that was an actual event. That was Easter, and we spent some time with family. So that was that. The next week was technically the mid-semester break, and because of the last couple of weeks with either public holidays or me graduating, it was just and with assessments, it was just me. That week was pretty much used for me catching up. Yeah, catching up on everything. Just having a look, yeah, and if not working, yeah, you can just see that like I am just pushing really hard and I start to feel unwell. I remember that mid-semester break week just being like, oh, this is overwhelming, but I could also see that everything was about to clear up, so it was just a matter of like just keep pushing through, but like looking out for yourself because it's about to even out. Week 5, which was last week, was busy. Yeah, I can see that every single day was pretty much booked out. My dog got sick as well. Yeah. And I was unwell a bit week 5. But I remember feeling quite exhausted on the weekend just past. But now that this week has sort of come together, I worked all of yesterday, but today I've been able to not only catch up but get ahead on everything. And um, I have an assessment, 2 quizzes next week, and I'm well and truly prepared for them. And I even have additional time to do some additional um, work. Cool. So yeah, that is what the first 6 weeks has looked like. I still have um, 2 classes to actually physically attend, um, but in terms of lectures, material, content, readings, everything, I'm like either ahead or exactly where I need to be with it. And I'm starting to work on higher weighted assessments. We've got a cognitive report and a pre-registration assessment that we're working on. That'll be due between the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I've already started to work on them. So I'll spend some time on the weekend working on both of those as well. Overall, it's been a really positive experience thus far, I feel. I'm very glad that I opted to do this part-time just with my circumstances and being chronically ill, but also needing to work and to volunteer, and to keep my condition stable. I have to really manage a lot of things, but I also need to work because I need to live. I'm very fortunate that I have a partner that pretty much provides for everything, and I just help supplement that, but I still need to be able to work to do that. What I'm trying to say is the reason, yeah, so everyone will have different reasons as to what choices they make, but for me, I'm really, really happy with part-time. I remember when I was very conflicted as to whether to do it part-time or full-time, because like I think most people who do psychology, when you get to the 4th year, you don't want to really prolong it, especially because everyone really looks forward to the master's level. So there's this real itch to get there, but from so many people and so many stories I've heard, that 4th year can be so brutal, and just so much work that a lot of people burn out and they end up taking time off anyway. And for me, I really didn't want to burn out, and I really needed to be able to manage my condition and also be able to work and volunteer. So logically for me, part-time was the best option for me with my circumstances. And 6 weeks in, I do not regret it. I'm very happy. I do not think I could be managing a thesis on top of this. Yes, I am, up to date and ahead in some respects, but it has not been easy, and it has been very consistent effort. And it's because I don't have a thesis to manage on top of this. Some people are managing to, like, I say some people, I don't actually know. What I can say is I know that from there's Facebook groups in Australia about people who are conducting, like who are doing the psychology pathway, and I have seen people talk about their experiences of completing honours full-time whilst working full-time, or completing full-time whilst doing other things. So there's a real continuum of what people can do. So I guess I want to just say, like, you just need to reflect and see what works for you, because ultimately the only person who's going to know is you. And sometimes you might make a decision. For example, you might start part-time, you're like, oh, I probably could have done this full-time. Or you might be doing it full-time and you're like, oh, this is a bit much, I should probably cut down to part-time. I think it's much easier to opt from the going from full-time to part-time, because if you go from part-time to full-time, you don't have like a supervisor allocated, and that, yeah. Anyway, that's a thing in and of itself. But if you're not sure and you're erring on the side of I could probably do full-time, I would recommend to opt into full-time first, see how you go, and you can withdraw before the census date. If you are really ambivalent, I would say not to, just because you're taking up the opportunity from somebody else. And that's not like, I'm not saying that to put shame on anyone, but it's also like a supervisor that could be helping or supporting somebody else, or has, made arrangements in their own life to be able to supervise, and they no longer are. So, yeah, it's just something to think about. But what works for everybody is different. But overall, um, I have found the honours experience to be really positive thus far, really engaging. I really like the content that I've been doing, that I've been engaging in. I have found it to be really applicable. I just remember hearing people talking about their honours experience, and they're just sort of like, everything kind of blur until masters. But I'm actually really enjoying and engaging in this honours process, and I think it's practically because I have the opportunity to sort of engage with it a little bit more as someone who is doing it part-time, or it could just be that I find it interesting. I really enjoy psychology. I really like psychology, so I was probably going to enjoy it anyway. Either way, that's sort of where I'm at. If you have an experience yourself, either doing it full-time or part-time, please do share. I find it interesting. It would be nice to actually hear from other people who are either doing it full-time or part-time. Yeah. Anyway, so take care, and that is my experience. So I'll see you next time.